For the Turkish government, the presence of a Kurdish government on the other side of its border with Syria has been seen as unacceptable. The YPG and the SDF are made up of a Kurdish militia known as the PKK, which the Turkish government basically considers to be a terrorist organization. The Kurdish forces have launched several campaigns over the last several decades to foster an independent homeland, to fight for self-determination in the region, which has led to the Turkish government outlawing these kinds of organizations. And so this idea that a Kurdish militia could control vast swaths of land so close to the Turkish border has basically been a non-starter for the Turkish regime.
One of the big sort of geopolitical regional issues involves the Kurds. You have Kurdish minorities in Syria, in Iraq, in Turkey, in Iran. And the fear of the states in that region is that you have the potential for a kind of a united Kurdistan.
Part of the offensive that's going on right now is that Turkey sees the Kurds in general and this region in general as a threat. So the idea is that by creating what they're dubbing a security zone, they're creating a buffer between the Kurds and Turkey. There's about 2 to 3 million Syrian-Iraq war refugees, mostly Arabs, who are in Turkey. They want to resettle these individuals, but they don't want to just resettle them anywhere. They want to resettle them in northeastern Syria so that it'll dilute the Kurdish population and the control of the Kurds in northeastern Syria.
Within Syria, the regime forces control the bulk of the country at this point, and the Kurdish fighters control about a third of the country in the northeast. However, there are still pockets of ISIS. There are still other jihadist factions more in the west of the country. ISIS has lost its territorial base, but still continues to exist and to mount attacks even recently. ISIS does continue to exist in that part of the world and to operate. They mount guerrilla attacks on a regular basis. There were dozens of such attacks in August alone. And even October the 9th, there were a number of attacks in the city of Raqqa targeting the Kurdish forces, suicide bombings apparently. The remnants of ISIS are currently locked up in very insecure kind of camps and prisons. Kurdish forces told us that if there were some kind of a Turkish offensive, they would realistically have to pull their forces away from the camps and prisons and put them on the front lines. And that would open the risk of escapes or attacks by ISIS on the camps and prisons to try and free the members that are being held there. We're now at a stage where the potential that that ISIS could break out of those prisons and camps is very real.